Hi everyone, Jessica Shire here and welcome back to the channel. Today I am participating in a collab hop with Pear Press and Burniston. If you've watched some of my videos, you've probably already seen a couple about using the power packs from Pear Press. Well, she's recently come out with some easy lights, and these are really cool because they're lights that are already connected to the power pack, so there's no copper tape involved. There's just some wires, which makes them really easy, hence the name. I have created a card already using these before, and I'll have a link to that blog post down below if you'd like to check it out. Burniston has some amazing dies, so I'm working with the Christmas Trees Pop Stand die set, which creates an amazing Christmas tree pop-up inside your card. So you can leave the front of your card very plain if you'd like, and then the inside is these trees that pop up. I think these are really cool dies. To coordinate with those, I'm going to be using the Merry Christmas die and also the Christmas Animals die set. So what I've done so far is used a piece of Nina 100-pound Desert Storm cardstock to create my A2 size top fold card. And the inside of this is where the Christmas tree pop-ups will be. I've kind of followed along with Burniston's video on how to use a Christmas trees pop stand die set, so I'll definitely have a link to that. So I want to quickly mention that there is some information for this collab hop on my blog post if you'd like to check that out, about the prizes, coupon codes, anything like that is there. And also the list for all of the participants in the collab hop. So in order to make the pop-up trees work with the easy lights, all I really had to do was cut out a few more of the die cuts. So instead of having just 2 of the outline trees, I cut out 3 of those, which also gave me 3 pieces for that smaller tree. And I did this that way I could hide the wires for the lights very easily. So you'll see a few glimpses of a reindeer that's already colored and put together, and also a couple glimpses of the front of the card, which is already stamped and colored and looks done. So I have 2 parts to this card. I like to see the coloring for cards. I think it's fun to watch people color. And also I did a lot of coloring on the die cut of the reindeer, which is part of the Christmas Animals die set. So I wanted to be sure to include all of that also. So up in the cards here, you'll see a link to that video, which I consider the coloring video. I'm calling it like a companion video. So this video that you're watching now is just the video on how to assemble the die cuts to make this pop-up card and include those easy lights. So one of the cool things that I thought was really nice about the outline tree die is that it has these little stitches all the way around, and it does kind of create an emboss on your die cut, but those are mainly used for stencils. So you can place your die cut back in, then use a white gel pen or whatever color that you like, and you can create your own stitch detail around your die cuts. So I did that on 2 of those outline dies. For the stars of my tree, that's where the lights will go. I cut those using some glitter cardstock and silver, and also vellum. I'm going to sandwich these stars together to create one star that'll hide the light, and also the vellum will help kind of diffuse the light from the easy lights. So I've ran adhesive up one side of that tree on the back side, and this is where I'm going to place the wires for the light. So I've gone ahead and I've threaded through that oval half of the pop-up stand. And I found it easier to place your light first at the top and then run your wires backwards down the tree. Now I'm going to add some more adhesive to another die cut of the same die. And I can sandwich those together. So at the top you'll see that the light is situated right behind that hole on that glitter star. And you can't see the wires whatsoever around that cardstock. Just make sure to use some really heavy duty adhesive. I used my ATG for this and it worked pretty well. Now I'm going to move on to the littler tree, doing the same thing, it's just a little simpler because these are a solid tree. So I ran it right straight up the trunk, through the middle of the tree, adding on that star with the hole in it, and that is where I placed my light. So I'm using several different adhesives for this too. I have multi-medium matte glue and the fine tip applicator, and I'm also using my ATG. I'm going to be bringing in 2 other adhesives too, the Tombow Ultra Bond for some craft foam adhering, and also some Be Creative tape, which is a pretty strong dry adhesive too, for some of those areas that the ATG adhesive wasn't going to cut it. I did forget to actually thread the wires to that smaller tree through the pop-up stand, so I did take it apart real quick. Nothing was set yet, so it was pretty easy to take it apart real quick, throw the wire through that pop-up stand, and then place it back onto that smaller tree. And now I'm going to add on those trees to those little rectangle pop-up stands on that half oval. So you're starting to see how this will look. I'm using some purple tape to temporarily adhere things in place to kind of just keep the wires away and contained, because I think that was probably the hardest part about the Easy Lights is those wires. They're contained easily by using some Scotch tape. I was going to use some washi tape or purple tape for this, but I thought the Scotch tape would hold up a little better over time. I'm going to be placing the power pack on that bottom left-hand corner and having the wires run up to that oval, which all the wires are kind of gathered underneath. Just make sure not to pinch the wires or crimp them, because that would affect the current to the lights. So I have everything pretty well situated. I'm going to go ahead and adhere that down. To adhere the half oval down, I used liquid adhesive and dry adhesive just to make sure it was stuck down really well. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing to the other side with the other half of the oval. This side does not have the lights, so it's very easy to replicate what I already did, excluding all of the wires. I do hit the button several times on the power pack throughout just to make sure everything is still working. I think that would be just a total bummer if for some reason I had pinched one of the lights or broke a wire or something and the lights weren't working after already putting this whole card together. I do have to say that the wires and the lights held up very well with all of my twisting and turning and gluing, so there was no issues with that whatsoever. So included in the Christmas Trees Pop Stand die set, there is also 3 other dies to cut out the center for that tree outline die. And this creates like a floating tree that kind of moves a little bit and pops up and folds down with the rest of the card. So I used some bright green cardstock for this. I thought it contrasted well with the darker green that I used already. And what you do is basically just take that larger tree that has the slit down the center. Then you take that other smaller tree with the slit down the center, fold down one of the top corners at the very top of the tree. You can slide that into the slit in the larger tree's center. And then you take the other smaller die cut, the third tree, you fold down one half of the top part of the tree and then insert that through both of those slits in the other 2 trees. It's definitely harder to explain than it is to do, I think. So like I said, this is kind of a floating tree. So the top part of that lighter green center is only adhered at the very top. And then it's sandwiched between those 2 larger outline trees. And when you fold it down, that center part of that tree does collapse in on itself. That is just really cool to me. The smaller tree is really easy. You just take both trees and add adhesive to the very top where the star is and adhere those together, and they will fold down flat too. I do keep my liquid glue pretty close to me throughout this entire thing, adding more glue as I go. I didn't want to over glue it, and I definitely didn't want to glue anything down that I shouldn't have. It's easier to kind of pull things apart with dry adhesive rather than the liquid glue, so that's also another reason why I'm using both. for my reindeer, I went ahead and I used some black craft foam and the dye to die cut the reindeer again. I'm going to add a light in his nose. I love this little reindeer. He's super cute. I did the same thing as I did for his nose as I did with the stars on top of the tree. I used a small hole punch and made a tiny hole, and then I also used the dye that coordinates for his nose and the hat, and I used a piece of vellum cardstock and I just colored that with a red Copic marker to make it red. Since I want to run the wires underneath his ear and through his head to his nose, I'm just going to use my scissors and create a channel basically, and then I'd adhere that black craft foam piece to the backside of the deer, and now I can run that wire through there. So that banner die cut will hide the wires that connect to that reindeer, and also will hide the wires connecting to the oval. It will overlap the reindeer just slightly and also the oval, just to hide everything, but I think it makes it look pretty clean. My original thought was to use some craft foam to pop up the banner with the sentiment, but I'm actually going to do away with that craft foam altogether. I wanted to create something that was temporary so that I could remove the banner where the sentiment is and replace the battery if I wanted to. I'm thinking of just saving this card and using it as a Christmas decoration in my own house, but I'm sure I'll be making several more of these to give out to some family members. So I'm going to use some of these small, very thin magnets, and these have adhesive on the back side of them. It's not a very strong adhesive, so I do bring in other adhesive to help with that. But I just attach one of those magnets to the top part of the battery housing and then attach the other opposite magnet to the back side of that banner, so that when I want to replace the battery, all I have to do is pull off that banner, and the magnets keep it together very well. They're pretty strong. Since the magnets do add a bit of height between the battery power pack and also the banner, I decided to make what I call a button bumper. And basically all that is I used a standard hole punch to cut out 4 little tiny circles, and I adhered those together and then placed on the back side of that banner to where it will help to push that button down. And that is basically it for this card. I did take away that craft foam that was holding up. I did take away that craft foam and resituate the magnet on that banner die cut and the power pack to where it would better sit on this card. If some of your die cuts are not laying down correctly or popping up, it's pretty easy to kind of just fidget with those a little bit. You can adjust everything, and that will help to make everything kind of fold down and pop up very seamlessly. So before I close out of this video, I did add a few other extra elements to this card. I thought the smaller tree needed some red decorations, so I added some of that. This is a die that is included in the Christmas trees pop stand die set, and also the wreath, which is included in the Christmas animals die set. There's also a mouse too in that die set that is really cute, but I just used the reindeer for this one. The little penguin is from a stamp set that I have in my stash. And then I just used a small circle die and wrote push on that die cut to let everybody know that all you have to do is push that little button and this card will light up. This card was definitely a challenge, but it was really fun to think and plan how I was going to do this. There's just a lot of different options, and Karen Burniston has a lot of different dies that work so well with the Pear Blossom Press Easy Lights. It's definitely something that I don't know I could try to do with the copper tape way of light up cards. As you saw, the Easy Lights are very easy to work with. And I'm very excited to see what everyone else has created in this collab hop. So make sure to check that out. I will have the link to the next person in the collab hop down below, but the full list is on my blog post. And that's it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun creating this for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you have not already. Give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one. Meh, meh.